Reflecting on the beauty and majesty of the place we live in, surrounded by so much water and nature, it is alarming to know that 80% of the pollutants in our waters come from the toxic waste we generate daily, which is carried by rainwater and ends up in the rivers and lakes surrounding us.
A lot of times people think that stormwater, once it goes into a catch basin or into the grates in the streets, that it just disappears, and that's not the case. It ends up in our rivers, creeks, lakes, and everything else.
Unlike wastewater, which comes from the drains of homes, businesses, and industries, and is treated before reusing it, rainwater does not receive treatment.
That water is coming straight off the streets, not being cleaned or treated, and going straight to the river.
This whole area around Puget Sound used to be forest, and so when it rained, the water would fall on the trees and slowly make its way down and be infiltrated into the soil, and it would provide cool, clean water to the streams and eventually Puget Sound. And now, as you can see looking around, it's all been developed and there's all these hard surfaces. And so water, when it hits these hard surfaces, it runs off and it's going at a higher speed and there's a higher volume of the water. And this causes a lot of issues.
It's a hidden or a silent threat to our environment and our ecosystem. I called it a silent threat because unlike a volcano or a forest fire, you're not going to get headlines on the news or, social media blowing up about something that's happening. But it's silent because as we're going on with our daily lives, rainwater is picking up a cocktail of pollutants from our streets: oil, grease, pesticides, fertilizers, metals, and tire rubber. Tire rubber results from normal tire wear. As cars drive on streets, the rubber from the tires wears off and that rubber ends up getting picked up by stormwater. And all of that is ending up into the storm system, which eventually goes to our rivers and streams.
And those tiny particles and heavy metals that come out of tires contain more than 400 highly toxic chemical compounds.
That compound is called 6-PPDQ. It was first identified as a major threat to the health of our rivers and streams and contributing to high counts of salmon dying, salmon mortality, that is.
And this impacts our environment because like a fish impacts us because we eat the fish. The water there is what we drink, so what goes down the drain eventually comes full circle, so we need to make sure that we're keeping it clean.
To mitigate the devastating effects of these pollutants, King County and the City of Renton are implementing nature-like methods to filter water before it reaches our rivers.
Our projects, called the Green Stormwater Infrastructure Projects, are aimed at capturing that cocktail of pollutants, all the oil, grease, the metals, the phosphorus, the nitrogen, the bacteria, including the tire rubber, before it ends up into the storm system and the creeks.
We looked at bioretention cells and permeable pavement. Both of those are low-impact development practices. They're called best management practices for stormwater, and they are something that we use to manage stormwater in a natural way. It mimics the watershed processes that were happening before development. So it acts like a forest, but it looks like a natural garden.
These facilities that we build, this infrastructure, is designed to capture the rain, slow it down, let it percolate through different types of soil and plants, and slowly go back and fill the groundwater.
However, the problem is of great magnitude, and filtering rainwater represents an immense challenge that requires collaboration and commitment from the entire community.
We are much better at problem solving when we involve community, because community brings creativity, a different perspective, different experience and context that makes our projects much better.
We can implement rain gardens. That's what bioretention is in a residential setting, like in your yard. And it doesn't have to be very elaborately engineered. It can just be, okay, here's a shallow depression. We're going to direct all of our water from our roof, from our driveway into that. And we'll have some plants and it can infiltrate back into the ground.
So not dumping any pollutants in catch basins, only rain down the drain, as we say, is one of our biggest thing that we're trying to get out there. Understanding the importance of keeping tires properly inflated to reduce wear and tear and tire rubber ending up in creeks.
In addition to keeping car tires properly inflated, it is essential to avoid littering, toxic waste, and pet waste on the street or pouring any chemicals into the sewers.
Being aware that that water actually goes into our environment, so being mindful of what we pour into our catch basins, because at the end of the day, those are our creeks, and that's what we want to enjoy and our families for future generations. So if we are mindful of it, so that everyone else can enjoy it.